Miracles Happen. Introduction by William Eason. Is channeling for real, or is it made up spiritual mumbo-jumbo? Personally, I never thought there was much to it, and best I viewed channeling as basically words spoken by the author's subconscious. At worst, I worry if channelers are fakes or phonies, spreading lies or at least trying to wow audiences with their woo-woo to make money or become the next guru. But for 3 days in late April 2017, I found myself taking part in what I always considered a bizarre type of spiritual words and writing. For about 3 to 20 minutes for these 3 days, I channeled messages from what said they were a collection of entities that had come from a place outside of your or my time. They also said, "We are not in your third-dimensional world. We come from the fifth dimension. We come from a solar system that is not located in your solar system." Whether you believe it or not, and I most certainly have my own doubts, years later I still read these channelings, and if nothing else, they provide a great perspective on life and its problems. The messages aren't overly inspirational or overly weird. For the most part, they represent old-fashioned good advice. About my channeling technique, I had no idea what the messages would say. I used an analog cassette recorder and then transcribed the messages. I didn't change any of the words, nor did I ever think about what I was saying or writing. In hindsight, using a cassette recorder, while easy, made me wonder if I could have just used a digital device and made it easier instead. Of course, I never intended on sharing these messages except with my good friend Amy, but she found them too helpful and illuminating. I hope you too enjoy these 3 messages, and collectively a theme did emerge that, indeed, miracles happen. Enjoy. April 24, 2017. We are a collection of entities that come from a place outside of your time. We come to bring you good news. Good may not be what you have in your mind is good. Good is something that fulfills the soul. It fulfills purpose outside of your own viewpoint. We bring you great news. In this time of trouble, there is great confusion. There is much dismay. But do not look at the news, do not look at current events, and do not look at the world. Instead, turn yourself to your own life. Look at your own life. Ask yourself, am I fulfilling my purpose? And if I am not fulfilling my purpose, what changes do I need to make to fulfill my purpose? Realize that these changes may not be instantaneous, yet they may paradoxically happen much sooner than you ever expected. The key thing is to know your truth, to live your truth, and to be in your truth, and to never sway from that. You may get angry, you may get upset, you may completely feel out of touch, but if you know your truth, you will always be grounded. And that surrounds you, and the news, and that is not complementary to the life you want to live, everything will fizzle. It will dismantle itself in front of your very eyes. Miracles do happen. But if you are waiting for a miracle to happen, it is likely not going to happen. Miracles happen when you embrace your divine self, and you move forward with a new certainty that you've never experienced. Yes, you are great divine beings, but you are living within confines which you must learn how to manage. You can ask for guidance, you can ask for help, you can have support, you can look for ways to make things easier, but in the end, you have to do the navigation. You have to do the lifting. You have to find yourself. This is the good news because there is only good. Once you realize there is only good and you realize you have nothing to worry of, you are then filled with fear because you realize you almost feel silly. What we tell you at this time is to always go towards the good. And remember that the good comes packaged in unexpected ways. Just as things that are not good come packaged as good and blow up in front of your face, so to speak. So release yourself from expectation. Release yourself from worry. Start where you are in the very moment where you are. In the place where you are. Pick yourself up if you have to. Ask for assistance if you have to. You know it will be there. But never, never wait for a miracle. Allow the miracle to be, and the miracle will be. The miracle will always be. You will surprise yourself. And that is all for now. April 25th. Yesterday we spoke of that which is good. We spoke of miracles, and we spoke that message touched you in a special way. You ask, where are we from? Well, that's a complicated question, at least for you to comprehend, and we don't mean that in a demeaning way. What we mean is we are not in your three-dimensional world. We come from the fifth dimension. We come from a solar system that is not located in your solar system. You see, there are jokes in your world, in your current time, about multiverses and dark matter and things that lie beyond. But what you don't realize is that anything you can comprehend has already been conceived and has already been a reality that exists. But today we wish to speak to you especially about the idea of awakening, spiritual awakening, enlightenment, all of these things. Well, some people have wondered, where are all the aliens? Where are all the extraterrestrials, and why don't we see them? And all of this, well, my friend, it is true. Your aliens, your angels, your demons, or dark entities, they are all one and the same. It gives you a construct, if you will, a way for your mind within your time and space to comprehend the greater things. So we say this now. We say that this enlightenment that people speak of, consciousness revolution, or so they call it. This thing was popular in the 60s and 70s. You know that from your time. But what you don't know is that this is nothing new. If you look back at history, if you go back to some of the unrecorded times, there are thousands of years of events, thousands of years of things that have been experienced but have not. Have no records. And in your world, if there is no record, it did not exist, and it becomes something of speculation. So what we'd like to tell you now is that there is a link. And this awakening you see, it is your population taking a part of something that is much greater than themselves, starting to see things in a new way. And as you know, when you see things differently, that reality changes. So what you are seeing now is that the population is at the beginning stages of starting to see this for what it really is. And it changes reality as that happens. Now, some people could say, this is the most important time to live. And there are a few ways to look at that statement. Yes, it is the most important time to live. But every time that you live is the most important. There can be nothing else than that. There cannot be an unimportant life. So you can think to make you feel good, to make yourself feel special. Wow, this is a great time. But in reality, there is no such thing as a bad time. That means there are times that are interesting. There may be times when things move more quickly. There may be times such as, if you look back to the Renaissance, if you look back to the time when there was just a flourishing of art and painting, there are those times, and that's what you are seeing now. Some people could be interpreting that as contact being made between those of us who lie beyond. There are still a lot of people not ready for this. And as you personally know, if you're hearing this or reading this now, it can be a bit, and pardon my French, it can be a bit of a mindfuck to really process this for a rational person. If you are not in the place where a somewhat rational person, and what we mean by rational is we mean well aware of reality and their place therein and the place of others. If you take someone in that place, it's going to be a mindfuck even for them. Have patience with everyone. Don't ever try to preach everything to everyone. Just live your life. And as we talked of yesterday, live your truth. And you'll never be disappointed. Even if there are times when things are going down, they will always come back up. Thank you. April 26th. Now we will speak to you today. This is day 3 to you, but as you know, time is just a construct anyway. Today we will shift topics to something that we did not discuss before. What we would like to discuss today is impact and how you can make an impact on the world around you. Many think this is done by force, this is done by control. But we would say those who force others and those who control others don't really make the impact that most people living now really want to make. Many people are caught up in the ego issue, and when we say ego issue, what we mean is the importance of I am. The importance of I and what I am. Now, ego, of course, is something that means different things to different people, but we are speaking of the human self and form, the human experience, trying to make sense of that which is around them. As we have said, impact can be made by force, can be made by control. But this is not the type of impact you want. You want to make impact in a different way. In order to make impact in a different way, you have to work energetically. This is the only way you can make the impact that your soul needs to make. So how do you make an impact energetically? First, realize there is no such thing as perfection. So if you wake up and expect your day to go perfectly, and you expect to have no conflicts, that's not going to happen. You will be disappointed because you have already signed the contract to bring conflict your way when it is used as a tool for growth. To expect to have no conflict is not going to be the best way to proceed. On the flip side, if you are overly concerned with what you need to do next, if you are overly concerned that conflict is going to come your way, that can also be an issue. So instead, focus your time, focus your energy, focus your concentration on the energetic feeling around you. This could be your specific feeling. This could be your specific thought. But as we talked about the first time, there cannot be anything bad. So even if you fail miserably at this, it's okay. You can always pick yourself up. You can always start over, and you can always rewrite your life the way you want to. Once you start to feel the energy of yourself and you feel the energy of others, you start to get a baseline for where you are. And this channel is now having problems because he has read things about this. We will return. I took a short break here because I become aware of the fact that I had been reading about energy and feeling that my own thoughts are coming through. Returning after a break after a few seconds. Question: how can you make an impact without being overly absorbed with yourself? And going back to the idea of force and control, how can you make an impact without it? We have returned. In order to make an impact, you have to find a balance. You have to find the balance between caring and not caring. And when we say not caring, we don't mean being insensitive. What we mean is, in the course of the day, you are going to have so many things thrown at you. If you are energetically tuned in and all the things you view as lower frequency impact you are not going to get very far. So what you must do is take this, and we recommend using visual images. So for instance, let's say you are driving somewhere and you have an appointment. You are late for this appointment. The person you are supposed to meet is going to be angry and upset that you are not there on time. And lo and behold, somebody cut you off in traffic. Somebody runs a red light and nearly hits you. This is not going your way. One thing you can do is to take these experiences, see them for what they are. And step number one, as cliche as it may sound, take a deep breath. Take 3 deep breaths. Feel your energy level. Your body at this point could be shaking. You could be upset. So you may want to take even more breath. Take 10, take 20 breaths if you have to. If you are not in a place where you can take the breath, try to step away. Take the breath. Take the breath. You have to remember, a breath is oxygen, a breath is life. If you compare the energy level of your daily confines versus the breath of life instantaneously, that little problem, which you perceived as a problem, is going to start to fade away. So that is step one. The next step is to mentally take pictures of the frustration. And you can create any scenario you would like to any visual image that works with you. What we would suggest is to image a huge pot like a Dutch oven pot that's on a stove. And take all that and throw it in there. And as we said the first time, these things will dissolve. They will dissolve instantly before your eyes. It may take a while. It may take longer than you need to, but in time, your energy level will level off to where it needs to be. And you will find that these things do not impact you as much. Going back to impact, in order to have impact in the world you live, you have to have control over what impacts you. Now we will speak about this further. What does it mean to have control over what impacts you? Controlling another person, dominating another person, again, that's behavior that is taking over someone else's free will, and in the end, that's not going to get you where you need to go. Go ahead, you can push people around, you can force your will on them, but in the long run, it's going to come back to you. But if you take these things that control you, and if you dissolve the lower frequency, activates of your existence that brings you down, and you dissolve them, all of a sudden you are controlling what impacts you. You therefore start to have impact. Now that's in terms of response. That's in terms of life issues. When it comes to individual people, it's going to be the same thing. There's going to be people in your life that love you. There's going to be people that cannot stand to be around you. And you will likely feel the same. You should always stop and question those responses and ask yourself, why do I feel this way? But don't overly get involved with analyzing it. Just say, I want to connect with my higher energy. I want to take the high road. How can I really do this in the right way? Forget about it if anybody knows about it. Forget about what others think. And when you say forget about what others think, yes, you do want to be sympathetic to the feelings of others. But if you let every single thing in your day, going back to the example of being late for that appointment, if you get everything little things that hit you, impacts you, you will lose your power and you will go nowhere. So all of this may seem a bit complicated. It may seem paradoxical at times, and it's designed to be that way. It can be easy, but it can also be a challenge. For this reason, you don't walk around and see people who are well balanced, making an impact on others, and really changing everything around them. You don't see this because it's not a comfortable place. It's going to bring out a lot of things that you may not feel comfortable with. But if you trust the process, if you stick with it, you will not be disappointed. You will land where you need to be. You will land higher than you ever expected. You will have more of an impact than you ever knew. Finally, we want to say most people do judge their impact based on their life while they are living. That's kind of a flawed perspective as well, because you don't know who you are going to impact once you are no longer on this physical plane that you are currently in. So the overview is not to overanalyze it. Don't overly get caught up in it about it, but through awareness and personal growth, you can push forward to have more control over what impacts you and more influence on how you can impact everything around you. End of channel.